22nd of June, 209 AD, a crowd gathers. Oh, they fucking love a good beheading. I'm Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And who loves a good beheading?
Enter Shikari do.
Oh.
But the only band that I listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I fucked it up at the top there, and I didn't see a cue, and then I didn't know what was going on, and then I just went, and then it was all a big cock up. But welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, people. Live. We're live.
So welcome to another COVID level 2 lockdown installment. Now, for those of you that have been following along, we started at level 4. Well, before level 4, there was Harley's cavalier remarks. 10% a teapot, he called it. Before he lost all his jobs and the entirety of his income, his livelihood, and everything disappeared within 2 weeks of that comment.
Well, it's all behind us now, though, isn't it? It's all a bit of a 10% a teapot now, isn't it, really, around here?
What?
The way people are out there behaving, 10% a teapot. Told you to play on pass. Not a big deal. I'm moving cities. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Force you to move cities and find a new profession.
No, actually, I don't know what to do now. Now I don't know what to do.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You're all set for Dunedin.
Yeah, I was all set for the net. Well, I am. I've given notice at my flat. I'm homeless in 3 weeks.
You're all set for Dunedin, yep.
Yeah. To go down there to buy a house,
yep.
Right? That's the plan.
Yep.
That's the plan. Strike now while I can, while the opportunity is here, because I may not. This may be a fleeting opportunity that I have, but I also really kind of want to wait and see what the market's going to do, because people are forecasting some pretty bleak shit for the property market, and I'm over here like cha-ching,
right?
just waiting for those richies to fall off their pedestals, and I'll just wander in. I'm all cashed up. I'm ready to fucking rock, and so I'll just like bounce on, and I'm like, "What's up? I'll take this mansion for like $400K. Yeah, get the fuck out, you bums."
So you're kind of now, hoping to stall the plan.
Well, yeah, I'd love to wait a bit longer, but the issue is that in order to Harley Neville my finances, I needed to I have to buy the house before a certain time, because the bank only gives you a certain amount of time within which that your loan is approved. After which,
how long is it? Just
like 3 months. So August 11th.
Shit, that's like,
which is
just down
very fucking soon. Yeah, exactly. So that's super soon. So it's like, fuck, it puts all this rush on it all. But the issue is that if I don't do it before then, they might decide to look deeper into my finances. And in light of the new, recent, 10% in a teapot, they might not approve me again, on August 11th after that day.
I do have a feeling that should they choose to delve deeper, they would be realizing that they were making a horrible mistake, and they were essentially assigning a loan to a homeless, jobless person.
That's how it would look on paper. Only on paper. In reality, it would be an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur and a bit of just a slight dip and a slight income dip is what you
know. An entrepreneur at the beginning of his astronomical rise to stardom.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in financial safety, security, something that most of us have only ever dreamed of.
So yeah, there is but you're sort of reluctant.
Well, so exactly, I'm a little reluctant to rush on down there, right? It's going to rush down, and have to buy a house within the next few months, when it's like, okay, well, I don't actually know what's going to happen in Auckland up here, and I applied for a job at a major broadcaster that I used to work at. I have a pretty good opportunity to get in there, really. And it's just up the road from my house, and it's a really cool company. But it's a salary position, which is obviously a concern for the Operation Go Pro. It feels like a bit of a regression in terms of Operation Go Pro. It might be a little bit soul destroying.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there, and obviously beware the salaried position in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I have not heard of anyone on a salaried position that has really benefited from the concept of the salary. It basically
Yeah.
means that they get reamed up the ass in terms of the hours that they work, and they sort of do, they end up doing whatever their hours are, they do 10 to 20 more per week, which then destroys the salary hourly rate to the point that this, oh, it was great, we'll put you on salary, is actually a shit show. And I've seen it almost everywhere that I've been personally outside of the film industry.
None of my jobs, to be honest. None of my jobs. My jobs, I cruise in. I work like 30 to 40 hours a week usually. It's not that difficult. Working in live broadcast. I recommend it for people. It's very low stress.
Well, it's high stress because it's live broadcast, but it's low work rate, perhaps you might say, because there's like a lot of in-between times.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit of in-between times. And also just a lot of what you're doing is literally sitting like this anyway. You're kind of just sitting and doing things at a computer or something. It's not too taxing.
Well, I mean, I hope, you get the job up here. I mean, selfishly, I'd prefer you not to live in Dunedin for the next 6 months to a year.
Or when I find my baby mama and I just decide to live down
that's
there.
right. Or it's like, hey, I got some news. I've given up.
I've given up.
Great news.
No.
I've given up. I'm staying down here.
No.
The end. I'm embracing the quiet Dunedin life. With no more aspirations.
In a post-COVID world, you'll just be able to come. You'll come down to Dunedin anyway. You'll be able to work as well up here, and you'll be like, well, screw it. My family's down there. Harley's down there. Pigville's coming home. We're gonna start shooting shit at Logan Park again.
We're gonna make another feature film in Dunedin because the first one was so fun and easy.
Well, the other day I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and I saw one of my Facebook friends from Dunedin posted a picture of them using an ice scraper to scrape like 2 or 3 millimeters of ice off their windshield. And I'm up here in Auckland in shorts and a t-shirt still.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Christ, what am I getting myself into?
Well, this is
what are you doing?
I mean, to be honest, because you did have that big spiel about how you were Bane and you were molded by poverty.
Yeah.
And I thought about that to myself, and I was like, bro, you have no idea how soft you've become in the interim years. Like, I remember you were talking originally like, I'll go down there, I'll stack those big fish crates like we did back in the day. You've got a herniated fucking disc. You ain't stacking nothing. Your back's gonna be sore after half an hour. You'll be like, sorry guys, I can't do this job anymore. I didn't realize. I forgot about physical labor.
I forgot about this. Yeah.
I forgot about hard physical labor. I'm not built for this anymore.
Yeah, but here's the types of things I've been doing, right? I've been hitting up like old employers and stuff. I got connections. So, for example, here's what I want to get in on. Live streaming at the university. So I be a cameraman at the university, and this is a job that I used to do for them. And obviously they're going to be streaming even more in the future as things go on. So it's a job that I used to do in a department I used to work in at Otago Uni. So I'm like, bam, I'll go and ask them. Emailed them, no reply as yet. No reply as such.
When did you email?
But I'm sure they're coming back to me. It was a few days ago now. It might have been the beginning of the week.
Right.
Okay. See, I'm sure he's got so much streaming to do. He doesn't have time to get to me. He's overworked. He doesn't have enough staff, so he doesn't have time to get back to me.
Well,
but I'm sure he will.
To be totally realistic, one of the few areas of the industry that will thrive will be live streaming.
Absolutely.
There's no way that it can't, because a lot of people start to want to do things and communicate that way as an alternative.
Oh, I never want to leave the house again. I'm just going to live my entire life through this computer screen. I already do.
It's not bad. It's not a bad life.
Well, yeah, this is close enough, to talking in real life.
I mean, I can see you. It's like I'm sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
But I just can't reach my hand over. My hand disappears into the void.
Minus the smell as well, of course.
I normally pat you on the shoulder here.
Yeah.
But
Toss me off down here.
Normally, if I, where's my hand? Oh shit, this is hard. This is difficult. I'm trying to reach
All
down
right,
to jerk you off now. So here's my hand
just
going down,
that's a visual description for the
and then I'm
podcast
just.
listeners.
Hey, there you go, mate. There you go. You got there. You good. You good.
All right. Okay, good, good. I think we've done this tossing each other off bit to the. Well, I think we got that one. All right, so COVID, eh?
COVID. So the update here in New Zealand is we're still at level 2, but all the bars have now just opened. So today the bars are open. So before, a lot of the sort of bar/pubs were open if you could eat there, but if you wanted to drink any alcohol, you had to have a meal. Now you can just get pissed, you can get sloshed, you can get full over drunk and just stumble home and eat a kebab in the traditional way of consuming alcohol.
There is limits on the size of groups of people.
That's true.
So your group can only be 10 people. And so the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has decreed publicly that all orgies must be a decouplesome or less, which is 10. So that was also her advice for the sex industry.
That was a mandate put out.
Limited to 10 sexual partners at any one given time.
Here's some good news for you. The sex workers are back to work now. They've been given given the green light, and so and in turn you may choose to give them the green light.
Right.
So that's something. There's a bright spark in your day. Something to get out of the house for.
Yeah, good. Except for I'm an unemployed person.
Yeah. Well, you obviously
which, makes all that frivolous spending a little difficult.
I was going to say you won't ask for the works. You you just have to get.
I'll be working there.
A new profession. Shit. What is that film? American Gigolo. Well, there is that, but I'm trying to think of it. God damn, it's gone. Anyway,
Rob's.
Juice Bigelow is the but so we're down to level 2. Bars have opened back up, and I'm back to teaching. I'm going to classes, which to be honest, I'm enjoying. It's good to get out of the house and do something.
And I hear you're having a very special guest in the classroom next week.
Yes, I do have a very special guest coming. A social media marketing guru.
Tell us about this person's qualifications, why they should come along and teach the youth of tomorrow.
Well, 100% unemployed currently.
That's not a good reason?
No job to speak of, but he was a big deal, so that's how I'm gonna intro you.
In the old world,
he was a big deal.
In
the old world, he had a lot going on. He is currently unemployed, but here he is, Mr. Harley Devil, everyone. Is basically how I'm gonna. So you're gonna be a guest.
Well, I should probably write a couple of jokes in there about that.
Yeah. Well, look. I encourage it. It's basically like an hour-long stand-up session to some degree.
Yeah.
That's what these TED Talks are, aren't they?
It was good last year. Remember, it was good. It was good entertainment.
Well, look,
got a few chuckles.
If you'll recall, you actually got. I got some very good feedback from your last time that you came to inspire people. Our 16-year-old student at the time, she was like, "That was really interesting. I got quite a lot out of that." And that's the most compliments she's ever paid the entire course for the 16 weeks we were there. So there you go.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Inspiring the minds of tomorrow. I that's lucky actually, because I found my notes the other day from last year, and I'm just going to read them verbatim.
May as well.
I'll tweak them a little, obviously, but then I'll just, I'll basically use that skeleton.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to work on next. See, what I've been working on, dear listeners, thanks for tuning in, dear listeners. What I've been working on is I've also had, guess what, Guy? I had an audition. And That's quite a surprise, given the new the current climate in the media industry and all the filmmaking world and all the doom and gloom and stuff. And yet here I am, off to an audition for quite a big TV show. What up, Lexi Graves on the live stream? For quite a big TV show. So that's a promising sign for the future of the film industry in New Zealand, right?
Now, I'm very pleased to hear this. I'm a little bit. Was it the TV show that I shit canned the other week, or a different one?
I don't remember which one you shit canned the other week.
Our beloved soap
Oh,
opera.
Oh, you're talking about New Zealand's national treasure, Shortland Street. No, it's not Shortland Street.
Right. Okay.
No.
Oh, that's all right then.
No.
No. Yeah. On the live stream.
They already told me. They said this is Shortland Street, not Short Bulge Street. Get the fuck out of here.
I thought they were going to say this is Shortland Street, not Shitland Street. So take your acting elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the audition for? Who did you play? What did you do?
All right. So very exciting. Had an audition to play an autistic guy, and I thought about hitting you up.
Cheap.
Actually, Guy, not everything's an insult. You're so defensive. It's because you teach a young man who has autism.
That's actually true.
But
I do.
Sure. I mean, you are obviously on the spectrum a little as well. But
yeah, you see, here's the thing about that joke.
But you teach a guy.
You could pivot it around my response. So had I said, "Oh yeah," because I taught an autistic person, you go, "No, because you are an autistic person." And then if I reacted the way I did, you go, "No, dummy, I'm talking about the person." I'm onto you, mate. I'm fucking onto you.
Yeah, I know, right? But this is all of my jokes. They're all I've got. It's all planned. Everything's planned. I know exactly what you're gonna do.
Yeah, so
I've got a plan A, B, C, and D, and there's multiple layers in my jokes too.
Yeah, well, look, I can give you a tip about autistic people.
Sometimes I quote Hitler without you knowing.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me, nor the listeners, due to your raging boner for Hitler and the fact that you would come all over him if you saw him in real life, as we have established in a previous podcast.
It's obviously ridiculous. You see, Hitler is... I mean, you, for example, Guy,
Hitler
you
was
are
underrated, is what you're trying to say.
No, hang on.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I'm just waiting for your rebuttal. Let's check your notes. Hold on, I just need my notes. Yeah.
You just this is all off the cuff, all right?
Okay.
You just back it up. This is all off the cuff. You see?
Yeah.
Yep. No, oh man. See, I've got a whole thing here.
Yeah. Where you go?
Well, I don't. You said that I would, if I bumped into Hitler
come all over
on the street, that I would ejaculate on it, which is obviously ridiculous.
For your excitement and joy at seeing the man that you look up to and quote so frequently.
I do not look up to him. I do not look up to him, but like, let's imagine this hypothetical situation where I might have bumped into Hitler, right? Well, I guess it could have happened, during my transient years, my artistic transient years in Vienna before the outbreak of the First World War. But like, fuck. No, look, I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't do it?
No, I've got to find the right notes. So forget it. Move on. I'll come back to it. It's all connected. I've got a great story about my great uncle.
Okay, well, we'll wait on that. But while we do, back to COVID level 2. So we have had no new cases in New Zealand for the past 4 days. And we've only had 2 new cases in the last, I think, 7 or 8. And they were both connected to a cluster. So that was previous cases. So that we're sort of aware of where they come from, which is all very good news in the sense that COVID does not appear to be in the community. There's no more community transmission of COVID. We found the clusters. We've waited for those people to recover. And now it seems that there is nowhere that it's coming from. but my girlfriend may have it because she's got a cold at the moment, so that is a possibility.
Oh, good.
So I'll keep you updated on that one. But anyway, so
Well,
we are in this interesting conundrum, though, where if we are getting towards COVID-free, or this concept that there will be sort of 1 or 2 cases every now and then, from now until whenever, the next question is, when does New Zealand, or how does New Zealand open back up? We've closed the borders to keep the COVID out. We want to keep the COVID out because now we have to restart our economy. If COVID comes back in, you know, the recession that we're about to sort of impact from is going to be sort
a
of
million times
infinitely worse. So that's the issue there. And so I don't know, how do we do it, Harley? How do we open back up?
Well, we don't. Fuck them. Fuck them all. We keep them all out. It's over. It's over. Part of the history is done now. We don't do that anymore. It's like handshakes. We don't do it anymore. It's an old thing. This immigration thing. Like
immigration is an old thing.
Yeah, we're slowing it down now. We're slowing it down now. Now it's just Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And we just keep our bubble, our Pacific bubble. And you know, all you other guys that couldn't sort your shit out, soz. You know, like, it sucks. It really does. But what do you want us to do? Like, come up there and beat the virus for you? You won't let us in. You know, you won't listen to us even if we do go up there. You know, like, if while all you guys are out there with all your troubles, we got to, you know, just keep the border tight.
So
this is the new world. People can still come, but they've got to come and they've got to do the full-on quarantine and all that.
Right.
So if a person needs to come to New Zealand, I'm not saying lock the borders and throw away the key.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying people have to come through the extensive screening process, you know, to make sure they don't have it, and they have to do the full government-mandated quarantine and all that shit.
So what's the solution for our tourism and hospitality industry?
It's going to be smaller, and it's going to only be local people using it, you know, and people from this trans-Tasman bubble, you know, and that's just the way it is, right? Because there's a virus, and what else can we do? So those are going to be smaller industries now. But what might be bigger industries might be, you know, service, like actual like creation of things, you know, or, you know, the cultivation of food and the creation of things that we use locally.
I did see an article where they were talking about all the pilots that they'd laid off, you know, which, you know, once upon a time was the most, you know, you'd feel like was the most robust profession, being a pilot, because, it's a pilot.
Yeah, right.
You flying around the world, like, super qualified. You put all these people, keeping all these people safe.
They all trust you with their lives.
And you're in this super high demand. It's well paid. And suddenly you're at the, not the tippy top, but, you know, you're now at the bottom. And I did see that they were like some dairy farmers or something were like, well, don't worry, guys. There's lots of work as a dairy farmer. If you guys, we're always looking for dairy farmers, and it's like, well, fucking thanks a lot. I was jet setting across the skies, you know, taking people to these exotic locales, and you know, maybe sleeping with beautiful stewards or stewardesses, depending on my preference. And then suddenly I'm fucking out shoveling shit at the fucking dairy farm and fucking milking a teat, and arguably causing climate change on a epic scale with my actions.
Don't blame the farmer. It's you stuffing the meat burger in your face, the consumer. It's not the farmer who's creating the food. It's the consumer creating the demand. He's a poor tool in this system. Raise up the workers. The workers need to unite and raise up.
Well, anyway, so all the pilots are going to be dairy farmers now, apparently. I did see another article talking about, which you mentioned the other day, some people advocating for the universal basic income.
Yeah.
Advocating for the universal communism model. And so the idea, obviously, is it's just like a benefit, essentially, but we all get paid it. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. We all get paid it. We all get paid the same. And it's like I can't remember, it was some party were like, let's table it. Let's talk about this. And in New Zealand, at least, they're like, let's not.
Yeah.
I understand that and this was just from this article, but they said that it would cost like 70 billion to do that just in New Zealand, which is
Right.
more than they have as the government's budget to
Yeah.
generally spend. So, and that's before they've spent anything in the maintenance of the country. Hence, it's kind of a flawed situation. But we are currently on the universal.
We're basically on it. We're all on the benefit.
Yeah, we've been given the universal, but only temporarily, and that we've been given it for a period of time enough to get the government massively in debt, to get our country massively in debt, but hopefully not so much that we completely fuck ourselves, as I see what they're trying to do here. So thank you for that support, Jacinda. We are forever in your debt, Auntie Cindy.
Well, she is pretty amazing, old Cindy. Doing a great job.
Yeah.
I am quite excited to see the National Party falling apart and rating so abysmally and all that stuff.
It's lovely to see for a change. And it's the tides of change in a way, because this government only got in by forming a coalition with was it 3 other parties? It was like basically
2.
Oh, was it 2?
Green and NZ first.
Yeah, so which is almost never happens. Normally you only form it with one other thing, but they had so few fucking votes that they had to take 2 parties' other votes to get the
Americans
majority.
will be like, the Americans are learning a lot right now. I know we've got a couple of Americans out. Shout out on the live stream to Most Fascinoris and Lexi Graves 13 on the live stream. Go check those dudes out. So the Americans will be like learning about how our political system works. Coalitions.
Yeah, so this government got in with 2 other smaller parties, and that was the only way they could do it. And now, and that had, and that was after a change of the right-wing political party getting in for, I don't know, over a decade. It was a long-ass fucking time. And I guess that's the shift. And maybe that is that sea change that you were talking about, Harley. The poor rising up and wanting their voices to be heard. And this, as the celebrities scoff their chef-served meals in their Hollywood mansions, or their... what's a rich place in New Zealand where there's lots of mansions?
Ponsonby, Parnell.
Parnell's a good one, yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, just back to that audition, by the way.
Sorry. Sidebar. Back to the audition. What?
Yeah, we got distracted by coming on Hitler, and then we went back to COVID.
We got sidetracked by Hitler. And then I got sidetracked by COVID. So, as an autistic person, you're playing an autistic person. Have you seen the movie I Am Sam?
No, I haven't, but I did watch some Rain Man clips on YouTube for research, and I might have overdone it.
Right.
And then I also, watched Atypical on Netflix. Atypical. So it's a sort of a sitcom about an autistic guy. It's quite good. I quite enjoy it. I only watched 2 episodes. It was quite good, but I was watching sort of for research, just to kind of, see how it goes. And then I went along and it went really well. And they seemed, I don't normally do this, but pretty sure I'm going to get it. I can feel it in my waters.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I have heard quite a few times in the past, fucking nailed it, mate.
No, but I did nail it.
Yeah,
I did nail it. I always nail it, but that doesn't mean I get the role. There's two different things. I tell you when I don't nail it.
Sure. Yeah.
My first take, they did tell me to bring it back a notch. It was a quote from Tropic Thunder, and but they told me to bring it back a notch, and so I did it smaller the second time. Not smaller, less advanced, less far along the spectrum.
Right. Well, look, is it like just a one-off part, or is it like an ongoing role?
It seems to be a recurring role.
Ooh, juicy.
Yeah, it seems to be a recurring role, but it's a little bit vague. It says like they were still actually writing some bits and pieces of it, so unsure, but sort of, yeah, it could be a recurring role, but not, it's not a main role. It's not a lead role or anything like
Well,
that.
look, we can only hope that one comes. That would be a nice chunk of change in the old pocket.
Well, if I get that as well, that kind of solves my Auckland and Eden question.
It does. I've also, sort of speaking of these new filming circumstances, it seems that there's already a lot of new safety protocols in place for filming, which kind of, for example, are like there's no intimacy between actors on set, as in there's no love scenes, there's no sex scenes, there's no kissing scenes. Those are just gone. Now this is in America. This is in America.
And post-COVID, you're talking about post-COVID effects on film.
Safety guidelines.
That's interesting. So there's just no more raunchy sex scenes.
Yeah,
unless they use my my big cellophane wall.
Yeah.
With a condom in it idea.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. I think that big cellophane wall with a condom in it. Yeah. And then you can all have sex.
Why would they need the condom, Harley? They're just acting. You fucking pervert. What's wrong with you?
Well, okay, maybe they just do the, cellophane's fine.
So yeah, there's a lot of safety guidelines. The other one was that, and I think this may have been adopted over here, but the crew are split into 4 separate teams that are always filming separately, right? So if anyone gets sick out of one of those 4 quadrants, that production shuts down till they've established that person has not spread anything and it's all good. But the other teams keep going so that the whole production isn't shut down, which I thought was kind of an interesting way to do it. And I was seeing a few articles about people that isolated their entire cast and crew, so they all stayed together so that they could keep filming as the COVID virus hit. So there's been some interesting and sort of weird ways around it, but I just think it is going to be interesting to see, okay, are we not having any of those things in film for the next little while? Because if so, we've got some great counter programming to all that non-intimacy and no sex scenes. It's a little film called Older. That'll cure everyone's thing. Man, I haven't seen any sex scenes lately. Whatever happened to sex scenes in movies, they'll say. Whatever happened to kissing? Remember when couples used to kiss? Oh, I missed that. Well,
yeah,
we've got the solution.
Yeah, well, hopefully they want it. So far, the people I've sent it to, I've had a little trouble getting much of a response from them in terms of interest in New Zealand thus far. Not that I haven't really sent it out properly with like a press kit and all that stuff, but in terms of like people that I'm sending Immi The Vegan to, for example, sometimes they come back and go, maybe not Immi The Vegan, but like, what else have you got? And I always send them Older or I Survived a Zombie Holocaust as well. So they know about it,
and then
but they're yet to bite.
And then suddenly they go radio silent. It's weird.
Yeah, well, it just takes a little while to watch.
Yeah, it's a bigger commitment. So
yeah, they've got to find the weekend to do it. Yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah. So about Hitler, just to clarify.
Yep.
You once said that if I saw Hitler on the street, that I'd run up and ejaculate on him. Yeah, which is obviously ridiculous. But having an interest in one of the world's most notorious bad guys is hardly strange, in my opinion, right? And this is this is the central character. This is the central antagonist in the biggest conflict in human history. So, you like Darth Vader, right? And just like Darth Vader is the Hitler of Star Wars, Hitler is the Darth Vader of World War II. You see? So you can see why, except for it's just for people that are interested in like real life instead of, these science fiction make-believe stuff. So yeah, you like Darth Vader, but he killed, millions more people than Hitler ever did. Do you have any idea what the population of Alderaan was, Guy? I do.
Was it 7 billion?
It was 2 billion.
2 billion.
It was 2 billion people. 2 billion souls that Darth Vader took away.
2 billion all cried out. For a single second, and then we're lost.
And then we're silenced, exactly.
Yeah.
So, don't come at me.
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, we all have our hobbies. You know. Um. So that's good that you like Hitler.
I don't like Hitler.
Um,
Hitler is an interesting historic character. I've read also a lot about many tyrants, including Alexander the Great and others.
yeah, it's almost like you're studying for something.
Well, I am very interested because I feel like if humanity has a future, it's a future under one dictator, which sounds crazy, right? It
Yeah,
sounds
you sound like
crazy.
a fucking crackpot. It's weird. You sound like a total crackpot that's been living by himself for too long and only hears
Reading the Unabomber's
and
manifesto.
only hears his own thoughts. It's weird. It's weird.
No, you've got to have you've got to have a dictator or series of dictators that can make decisive decisions when for humanity as a whole when we become a spacefaring nation. Maybe it's like just for the unification of it, not forever, but for the unification of it to work together. You need someone that can like unite everybody and get them going. In the old days, dictator wasn't a bad word.
Back in Hitler's day.
No, back in the Roman days,
Um,
dictator was just the position of the emperor.
yeah, well, have you heard this new thing about they've allegedly found a parallel universe where time goes backwards? Did you read that?
I did read
Clickbaity
that.
article.
I didn't click on it. I didn't fall for it, but I did see the headline.
Yeah, well, apparently that's a thing, but that has not been. That they've we've ruled out many possibilities, and this one was just still there. This possibility that this particle can't has to exist from a parallel dimension that's going backwards. Now, this is not uniformly agreed upon, as how the article ended. We'll just have to keep searching. And it's like,
So what?
yeah, you better keep searching. So
Yeah.
apparently it's some type of particle or some ray or some type of cosmic shit in Antarctica that was discovered that was going
Okay.
away, like it was traveling in a way that is impossible for these particles to travel. It was traveling the opposite way these particles were, all according to all science, could travel. And therefore, something about it was from a parallel dimension. They theorized it was from a parallel dimension where everything was the opposite. And it came about at the Big Bang.
Yeah.
So we had
Well,
one
look,
going forwards, one going backwards.
I probably believe it. I probably believe. I think they're probably on the right track.
Neutrino.
But it's so
Neutrinos.
it's so sort of irrelevant to my day-to-day life that it's difficult to and it's hard to comprehend what you're trying to envision.
Well, it's certainly hard
So
to comprehend.
I leave that type of thinking to the bigger brains.
Yeah. Better to just study all the tyrants of history and
Figure out. Well, what I need to do though, here's what I need to do. I need to conquer all of humanity, and then we need to concentrate on education, welfare, scientific advancement, these types of things, and become spacefaring, and then become first interplanetary, then interstellar. If we can just get interstellar, then we'll really make a difference in the universe because we will have spread ourselves to other stars. And it's just, once we're released out there, we'll be like a virus, self-replicating in most climates and environments. And it's just not going to be a problem, but if we're stuck on this planet, we're fucked. So what we need is a good, benevolent dictator. And frankly, I'm putting my hand up. I'm announcing it right now on the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm putting my hand up. I want to be the benevolent dictator of Earth. I'm going to treat everybody fairly, but that will be fairly shitly, but evenly shit to everybody.
What about you though? Are you going to accept the same treatment that you put on your underlings?
Well, having the most stressful job.
Yeah, the boss
in
needs
the
a comfy
world.
chair, is what you're saying.
The most stressful job in the world. You're literally in charge of everything. Yeah. Should you not have a comfortable place where you can not worry about your creature comforts and just be, comfortable and think clearly about humanity? Wouldn't humanity want me to have a golden throne?
Wouldn't humanity want you to have
and start calling me the emperor of mankind?
And wouldn't they want you to have 5 or 6 wives? Isn't that only fair?
wives in this new world won't exist because that's an outdated, old religious notion. You know, we're not ducks. We
Okay.
don't mate for life. We don't mate
Yeah.
for life. We're not ducks.
All right.
Okay,
So
we're
your
human.
girlfriends can sleep with anyone else they choose to while they're with you, Emperor.
In my egalitarian human future,
They can just hop on someone else and no worries. Is what you're
yes,
saying.
yes, they can. But
Well,
they
I
won't.
mean, look,
They wouldn't want to.
well, you
They
better
wouldn't
start
want to.
practicing what you preach before you become emperor too, right? I mean, you better have this discussion with the next person you meet.
Well, I'm not trying to usher it in yet. That's for later. That's for once I've cemented my power and I'm
Oh,
finessing
okay.
things. It's
I
not a
see.
priority at the moment.
All right.
For now, I'm trying to seize the means of production.
Okay.
That's my current goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we should.
And yes,
Yeah.
we should acknowledge the live stream people for a
Yes.
second. Most for Sonorous says that Harley is Elon Musk. I think that's a good one. I'm cool with an Elon Musk comparison.
Whereas Lexi Graves said Harley plus Hitler equals love.
Love. Oh
There's
yeah, like a
little
black heart.
Black heart emoji.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yes. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying?
Well, I was saying I did get sent this kind of funny article, so I'm going to read it because we're in COVID lockdown, most of us still, and most of us across the world are definitely in COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of consternation and there's a lot of disagreement about when people should be opening and why, and when's this danger over and when it isn't. And so this is an article that got sent to me. The article is titled, "Sure, the Velociraptors are still on the loose, but that's no reason not to reopen Jurassic Park." And the article continues, "Hello, Peter Ludlow here, CEO of InGen, the company behind the wildly successful dinosaur-themed amusement park, Jurassic Park. As you're all aware, after an unprecedented storm hit the park, we lost power and the Velociraptors escaped their enclosure and killed hundreds of park visitors, prompting a 2-month shutdown of the park. Well, I'm pleased to announce that even though the Velociraptors are still on the loose, we will be opening Jurassic Park back up to the public. Now, I understand why some people might be skeptical about reopening an amusement park when there are still blindingly fast 180-pound predators roaming around, but the fact of the matter is, Velociraptors are intelligent, shifty creatures that are not going to be contained anytime soon. So we might as well just start getting used to them killing a few people every now and then. Some might argue that we should follow the example of other parks that have successfully dealt with the Velociraptor escapes, but here at Jurassic Park, we've never been ones to listen to the recommendations of scientists or safety experts or bioethicists. So why would we start now? You get the picture.
Yeah, I have read that one. It's good stuff. It's a
good
good,
shit.
good analogy.
It feels like an article from The Onion, but it's actually not an Onion article. But I encourage everyone to have a read of that one. Shared in McSweeney's Internet Tendency, Daily Humor, since 1998. But yeah, so I do think that there's definitely some premature opening going on. It's premature opening of states and such overseas where things seem to be running.
Well, this is why we've got to keep them all out. Keep them all
Keep
out.
'em out.
Keep them out of the trans-Tasman bubble. It's the Pacific, New Zealand and Australia. And New Zealand being right in the middle between the Pacific and Australia. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll be like basically the phrase in Game of Thrones, and we will be the bridge that's between these two places that people want to go. Remember the phrase with a family that owned the bridge over some water that everybody needed to pay a tithe to get through there. And that could be us in New Zealand. We could be the phrase of the Pacific, and we would be there in between the Pacific and Australia, charging a toll for people that come through and getting lots of tourism ourselves on the way through.
Well, in Japan, I understand that one of their sort of countermeasures is a restaurant that as you walk in, you're like fumigated with disinfectant.
Okay.
And
doesn't
then,
sound that good so far.
No, it doesn't really sound amazing, but you step into this thing, you're obviously it's smells nice and it's a lovely
Right.
experience, but you have this thing, so you're completely disinfected as you walk in, and then you order off tablets, and that's how the
Yeah.
food is brought to you, and they're like, it's 100% COVID safe, where this is the future now. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the robot
And
restaurant opening up
Yeah.
over here. I mean, look, to be honest,
I'm not. God, it sounds awful. It sounds so sterile and against the point. If you're just gonna, if you,
oh
why
look, if
pay,
you
why
wanted
pay
this,
extra for service like that? Why pay? I mean, I guess the food is better than you'd cook at home. I guess that's why. When you feel like something, and
Yeah.
you don't feel like catching COVID,
just get yourself
but you
fumigated.
feel like it, but you feel like some Thai food or something, you go there and you do it.
Yeah. Well,
Makes
look, I
sense.
mean,
Yeah.
we are talking from a very strange perspective, like, because if we were in any other country doing this podcast
Yeah.
right now,
Well, it's true. We'd be like, yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense. Yeah. Nice smelling fumigation. Smells good.
beautiful,
Sounds good.
let's get to this
I
restaurant.
want to do it. I'd love some Thai.
And it is crazy because we have all these friends on Facebook from other countries, and
Yeah.
them talking about their lockdown experiences and how they're all still shut in and they can't go anywhere, and no one knows what's going on, and it's all just further and further escalating, and we're sort of here in New Zealand going, it's over, bro. Everything's kind of
Yeah.
like
We've declared victory.
yeah, almost, and we're in and obviously there's very likely to be a resurgence and all that stuff, but
Well,
at the moment,
Judging by the 1918 one.
we're sort of returning to normalcy, aren't we?
Hmm.
We're sort of now, even like, I go out and I'm like, cool, so I just have to keep a 1 meter distance from people, and as I walk in and out of places, I use some disinfectant on my hands. That's really the only difference now.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm not bumping and grinding up against beautiful women at the clubs all the time like I used to.
No, like back like the old days before lockdown in the old world 2 months ago. Now, speaking of old and COVID and lockdown and all of that, it's actually your birthday soon.
Yeah. So you had
It might be before the next episode.
you had I've just checked what the date is. Oh, it's going to be
Today's the 21st.
Yeah, it's going to be borderline there. It will be just a day after, probably. Well, I'm getting a hip surgery for my birthday.
Congratulations!
I'm getting a hip surgery, which will put me in a severe amount of pain and incapacitate me for a long duration of time, and be a very lengthy and slow recovery, much akin to your herniated disc has been.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to me.
So is that literally the day? What day is your surgery?
No, so the surgery is a few days after that. So
and then how long are you off your feet for? How long are you off the podcast for?
Well, potentially, maybe one episode, but potentially I could. It's difficult because we'd have to probably change the format because I can't sit at my desk like this.
Yeah.
So,
but you could Skype into me from your phone if you wanted, and I could broadcast you from here.
Well, I could probably do it via my laptop, but would just have to be taking a hit in the audio quality. Because I have to.
That's right.
I have.
The listeners love our specials.
I have to be in my electric, old man chair that levitates up off the ground to kind of scooch me up to a sitting position where I don't really have to do anything. So
well, look,
cool.
I extend my sympathies because that does sound very horrible and taxing, but also something quite stressful to have to, I don't know, live with until then.
Yes, the impending thought of it, because it's like, have I done everything so I can, so I'm in the position where I don't have to do too much over this extended period of time. But I think the most depressing part is, so, I've had this concept of the surgery sort of looming over me since they diagnosed my other hip. And I was like, I obviously have to get this. And it's obviously coming in the future, but I don't know when it's coming. And it's been a year sort of since they said, cool, you're going to have surgery again. It's been pretty much exactly a year, which is 6 months longer than it probably should have been, and when I originally thought. So, but as time goes on, and as I've gotten better from the previous surgery, this is like a thing that we to do with pain and traumatic experiences, I suppose, is that you kind of forget everything. You kind of forget all the things that you had to go through to get back to that normal state, that recovered state. And then now that this surgery has been confirmed, I've now started to remember all the shitty things about that slow recovery. You know, I was like, oh, wait, yeah, I've got to sit on that potty. I've got to sit on the big boy potty for a month or two. And then it's like, oh, wait, oh, yeah, I can't run for months. Like, I can't go past a very light walk for months. I won't be able to bend down properly. Oh, that's right. My girlfriend will have to put my shoes and socks on me for several weeks. That'll be cool. That'll be a humbling experience. And so you kind of have all these thoughts about all the shit that you can't do, and you're like, oh, fuck. So that's you know, that.
Well, at least you've got a girlfriend. Yeah. Unless of course it ends up like Misery.
Yeah, where she rather than put my shoes and socks on, she just breaks my ankles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other option.
The other possibility.
Yeah, got to look out for that.
Did you know that the run times of both Older and I Survived a Zombie Holocaust are both 93 minutes? 93 and something, but 93?
I did not know that, Harley. In fact, I was sure in my head that the zombie film was 95 or 98 minutes.
Well, on the Vimeo screener, I'm sure it's 93.
So,
and on the Vimeo screener of Older is also 93.
Fascinating.
So you've got a boner for the number 93 with regards to filmmaking, and from now on, you're always going to have to make your films 93 minutes, because one of them's like 93:47, and one of them's like 93:33 or something like that.
That's pretty interesting. So
I mean, unless I'm making it up, but I don't think I am, because I've been emailing them out to people as mentioned. So I had a look.
The screener you're talking about there is two versions of the zombie film, unfortunately, floating about in the world.
One of them's bobbing around out there. The popular one that everybody's seen is the crappier cut.
As the crappier version.
It's not the director's cut. It's not the director's vision. What you want, if you're a film purist out there, a zombie film purist, and you want to see the original vision of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, you need to get your hands on the New Zealand and Australian cut of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. It's slightly shorter and snappier, and there's a few other bits and pieces that are put in there. What the cut that the Americans got, unfortunately, due to a clerical error, is several minutes longer, and is actually a previous cut.
Yeah, well, and the issue was with that the sort of the American version is that.
And that's the version that got pirated by millions upon millions of people.
And also what happened there is, so normally you film at 24 frames per second, and that's the sort of the universal standard. Everything is 24 frames per second. But we filmed I Survived a Zombie Holocaust in 25 frames per second, and then we converted it to 24 frames per second, which actually makes everything longer by a couple of minutes. Now, in doing this, it actually very subtly fucks up the rhythm of every single scene and joke, because essentially everything's just a touch longer than it was, which means that everything just seems to hang just a little bit too long, and you're like, well, why are we cut? Oh, okay, we cut. And it's just this, there's nothing overtly wrong with it, but there's just this underlying subconscious thing that certainly when I watch that version, I'm like, God, can I not just have the proper version out and about? And so the correct version at this time.
Well, what we need to do, and don't tell our sales agent, is we need to leak the real version out there called the director's cut, and we need to leak it into the pirating websites. The director's cut version.
They might be a little bit disappointed. They'll be like, this feels like exactly the same thing.
Well, don't say that. You just said the jokes were way snappier and stuff. You just said that it was better,
It's better.
You're saying it was just not quite right. You're saying don't bother watching the normal version. It's not that different.
Well, what I'm saying is maybe to the untrained eye,
Nah, because there's other storylines and other jokes and more kills. There's all sorts of extra stuff that's not in the other version. So it's a better film. So it's shorter and better.
I kind of need to revisit them both.
Yeah.
To sort of.
I find it difficult to watch myself now.
Yeah. Now, why do you find it difficult to watch?
Oh, because I'm such an imposter, I'm just such a fucking fraud. I'm a goddamn phony, I didn't train to do any of these things. What am I? I just have a hoon. I just have a fucking hoon. If they tell me to be sad, I pull a sad face.
Yep.
And if they tell me to be happy, I pull a happy face, Yeah. It's like, it's all just,
bullshit.
It's all bullshit. And I'm just making it all up as I go. All of it. All of it. It's all nonsense, and I just make it up as I go and do my best. But a total imposter.
Well, I mean,
completely unqualified to tell anybody how to do anything. That reminds me, we didn't actually finish that conversation about how I'm going to be speaking to your class next week. We never actually got to it. We started that conversation, and then we did not actually really. Well, maybe we did. Anyway, go.
Well, look, I will say about the imposter. I just said to those students that you're talking about, I said a great director once said that film is 24 lies per second.
That's me.
And at the end of the day, see, this is my deal with actors and acting. I don't care how the fuck you got there, as long as you get there. So I don't care if...
Sounds like something Hitler would say.
Well, that must be why you like being in my films so much, Harley. But in the sense that I don't care what you're like, I respect your acting style, whatever it is, right? If it's total false bullshit and nothing is real and all of it is completely manufactured.
Nothing is real and everything is possible.
Then I'm all for that. If you're a deep dive in the character and you're like, whoa, bro, I became that character then. I was just that character. That was just my character reacting. Cool. Whatever works for you.
Whatever, dude. Just get it done.
Whatever floats your boat. So I really feel like there's two different schools, but I don't think that you necessarily get a better acting experience from going one way or the other. Because at the end of the day, both ways are just bullshitting. They're just two different ways of bullshitting.
Two different schools of bullshit.
Exactly, two different schools of bullshitting. Because at the end of the day, you all of you are acting. None of you are really these people. So how you decide to do that doesn't matter. Like, it's still an untruth. It's just a different type of untruth.
As long as the audience is convinced.
As long as the audience is convinced. And I guess, so I don't watch it because, one, I watched it
a million times. Well, me too. I watched it. That's another thing too.
Fucking million times.
I see the beginning of that film and the escalator starts running.
Yeah.
The film starts with an escalator.
Yeah.
Literally a shot of an escalator.
Which I hate that escalator thing, but anyway.
Yeah. And when I see that, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
But it's not because I don't like it. It's just because I've seen it so many times, and it was such a, I don't know. It's kind of just difficult to watch yourself.
Bitch to make. Look, I'm very proud of the film. I like the film. I stand behind the film. But there is it is linked to deep personal trauma, and I think that when we got to the end of that, obviously you and I thought, cool, we're off to fame and fortune because we've made a good film. And now that will bring us respect and more work.
Sex.
And all the things that we desire. And it didn't do any of that. So then you so all the negative that you thought it'll be worth it in the end because at the end of this process, it'll all be vindicated and validated and will be all good. That didn't happen. So then you go, well, so there was just all this negative? So now I'm just...
not for me.
So now I'm just reliving all of this negative without that sort of end result of
I just want someone to watch it with. A lady.
Well, I will say that my girlfriend was really impressed with it. She was, that definitely helped
Well,
my
that's the
cause
thing. That helped
of
your
of
cause. That's the thing. I
of
mean,
getting
it's a
some
legit
nani.
film. I, I should probably, use this film for
You have
dates,
to.
but it's just quite difficult to be like, hey, so do you want to like come around and watch a movie I made 10 years
Did I
ago
start in?
that I starred in?
Yeah. Look, it's a difficult thing to. That's the problem. Is like, obviously you want to say you're an actor, you want to say that you made this film, you want them to watch it so they'll sleep with you, but on the same
Yeah.
token, you don't want to be that guy that's like, huh,
Do you,
by the way,
yeah.
I'm an actor. Yeah, you might have seen this. Oh, if you haven't, maybe we'll watch it together. Like, you
Yeah.
kind of need them to suggest it.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
curiosity gets,
Well, they have to want to see it, but that's the issue. Nobody wants to see your low budget film, mate. You know what
yeah,
I mean? That's the issue. Like nobody's like, oh, please, I'd love to go on a date with a guy who shows me his low budget horror film. I survived a zombie Holocaust.
yeah.
You know, like, so the issue is that they don't realize what a fun ride it actually
Oh,
is. What a great film and a
the
fun ride.
multiple layers, the rewatchability, it's all there. But that's the thing is,
Nobody knows about it. That's the big problem. If people want to watch it, go to iTunes right now and search I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. You can also find it on Amazon Prime, I'm told. I saw it was on YouTube TV the other day. Unfortunately, that's the shit American edit, but go watch it anyway. You can find it on Showtime and AT&T and Imgo and Xbox and PlayStation and you name it. Quick Flicks. All sorts of shit I haven't heard of. So go have a look and see if you can find I Survived a Zombie Holocaust and let us know what you think. I also want to know if there's any Wesley groupies out there. Like, do you think, Guy, that there's probably any Wesley groupies out there? Do you think there's any Wesley, any ladies out there that are like, man, I really want to fuck Wesley?
Let's cast our minds back a little bit.
Wesley Pennington, the lead character.
Who you played, the titular lead character.
Protagonist.
Yeah. So you were the main character. His name was Wesley Pennington.
Not titular.
No, because he's not in the title.
Title, no.
Well, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust starring Wesley Pennington. Harley Neville. Harley Neville as Wesley Pennington. That's the full title. So, yeah, well, look, I will say, just think back to on set, right? Think back to how beloved you were at that time by the female crew.
Those are the days.
The female crew. Everyone really loved you because they loved that character. And they're like, I just love Wesley. I just want to give him a hug. I feel so sorry for Wesley going through all this stuff. And that was you, bro. So I feel like somewhere there has to be, but it's also that thing that critical mass is like, you have to have the audience to have the groupies. You know,
like if 0.01% of all people that hear if Post Malone's like latest song, right? Maybe it's only 0.01% that
would
might actually
dare
fuck him.
to fuck him, yeah.
Yeah, but because he's got so many millions upon millions of listeners, that means there's actually thousands and thousands of people that would willingly fuck him.
Yeah.
And that could be me. That could be me. If only I could extend my audience, I could be as fuckable as Post Malone.
If you could just grow your reach, I do wonder how, like, because obviously you're in this situation where you want people to see this film so they'll sleep with you, right?
Yeah.
Now, do like the bigger actors go through this process, or is it like just a given that well, you've seen my movies, you've seen my catalog, so you're sleeping with me now, right? Yeah. You know, or do they still feel that urge of like, well, shall we sit down and watch, like, you know, shall we sit down and watch Pirates of the Caribbean together, you know, or whatever?
Are you asking me if Johnny Depp uses Pirates of the Caribbean to like pick up chicks?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or more likely Orlando Bloom if we're, you know.
Yeah. Well, more likely Johnny Depp. I'd way rather fuck Johnny Depp than Orlando Bloom.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. So maybe he doesn't need to show you Pirates of the Caribbean to get you into bed, you know? Whereas Orlando is less charismatic. Like, let's be real. Yeah, sure, he's younger, but he's much less charismatic. And, you know, some might say his acting skills at times are dubious. So, you know, I don't know, but I just do wonder if some of those stars are like, well, let's go and catch my movie. let's go and catch my movie, and then you'll sleep with me,
Mm.
or do they just that's ruled out?
I assume they don't.
It's
I
only
assume
for-
everybody knows who
That's
they
only
are.
for B
If
film
you have to
people.
show them your movies, then you're not really a star that is worth fucking. I don't think. If they have to show you the movie, then they're not worthy of fucking. You see, and that's where I sit.
Yeah,
Not worthy of fucking.
not completely unfuckable. That's where you sit.
That's where I'm sitting. Now, our most popular upload, I was recently looking through the stats on Libsyn. Now, these are the stats just for the actual podcast itself, not the YouTube and the Twitch and that. But our most popular episode only has 199 downloads.
Hoping for that magical 200 there. Yeah.
Yep. And also, which sort of, yeah. But do you want to know what episode it was? It was episode 118, An Act of God. I don't know why. It was like, it's like, why that particular episode? Like, I listened to it and it was good. It was a good episode. It was funny.
What did we talk about?
You were talking about how you got a rolling trolley into the side of your Uber.
Oh, that's right. I remember
and,
that.
And a little wee man tried to say it was an act of God, and you discussed vividly how you should have slapped him.
Yes, I got quite animated about that.
Yeah, and then I discussed how I have a genetic predisposition for discrimination.
Yeah.
And that I've got to file an ACC claim for the loss of acting income from my baldism, from baldism discrimination, shiny discrimination. Yeah, it was good stuff. It was good stuff. Yeah, but why that episode? It doesn't even have like a clickbaity sex title, like the rest of the popular ones. It's just, an act of God. I wouldn't have given it a second thought if it had sort of a sexy clickbait title, but it does make me wonder if maybe there's a little bit more than just a mere coincidence here. And maybe it's not just irony, maybe it's a message. Maybe the reason we have so few followers isn't because this show sucks,
right?
But actually it's all my fault for insulting God on the show all the time. And maybe this is God's way of saying, fuck you, Harley, fuck you. So he takes the one episode with his name in it and makes it the most downloaded for no reason. So yeah, go back and listen to that episode 118, and let us know what you think. An Act of God, episode 118, An Act of God.
Well, yeah, hopefully this inspires you not to insult other religions so much.
Yeah. Well, look, I've just got to find something else to start insulting.
You got to find something else to rage against.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, you said that you wanted my desk. This was great joy to me last episode. You said you wanted my desk and my TV, and I said, okay, well, that actually works really well. Now I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. But whether I'm staying or whether I'm going, I've got to figure out what I'm doing. But anyway, you can't take the desk anymore.
Yeah. I got a different desk.
Which might mean I'd have to sell the desk, which is upsetting because I built that thing with my bare hands.
How long did it?
I did it on New Year's Eve, 2020, with the mindset that I would start the year how I wanted to spend it, productively. And it did take me all night to do it.
You wanted to start the new year the way you intended to continue, bent over a desk.
Yeah, I should have said that. That was good. So I was also at the time recovering from the worst back injury that I've ever had in my life, and I was doing a 2-person job lifting this big heavy desk and assembling it, this big heavy thing, and I was doing it all by myself, all on my lonesome, and it was New Year's Eve. And anyway, long story short, I ended up crying on the floor with my head inside a half-built drawer because it was all so painful and lonely and difficult. So what I'm saying is, this desk and I have already been through some shit, and I put my literal blood, sweat, and tears into this desk.
Yep.
And I need this desk to run my empire, and I certainly don't want to go through all of that next New Year's Eve to make a new one.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, I mean, I've got a solution there.
Yeah.
Just buy a desk that's already constructed.
Oh, yeah, but then it won't be the same thing because this is not a desk anymore, guy. This is what you don't understand. It's a possessed golem with a fragment of my brilliant mind residing happily and comfortably within it in the form of a muse for whoever happens to sit here. That's the sacrifice that I made with those blood, sweat, and tears in building it. That's what it's for. It's why you
Yeah,
build it.
well, there's a fantasy novel about a group of enchanted ships which absorb the when someone dies, when a family member dies on the ship, their memories are absorbed into the wood. It's called wizard wood, and that
Yes.
is
Well, my desk is made of wizard
and
wood.
essentially
Actually.
that is what's happened here.
Maybe that's what I'll carve onto it somewhere. I'm going to carve like somewhere discreet wizard
Yeah,
wood.
I mean, why not devalue the thing that you're about to sell?
No, I'll do it. I'll do it discreetly.
um,
That'll increase the value.
so yeah, well, I'm trying to remember what I was doing on that New Year's Eve. I have to imagine working.
Yeah, so there was not much happening. Another thing I'm going to have to get rid of with this move, right, is my bed. Now we've mentioned on the show that I've had this bed since I was 21, and that it's actually got more DNA than I do, and that it's actually listed on a World Heritage Site as an endangered habitat for several million unique life forms and ecostructures. So this bed and I, we've seen some good times. We have been through thick and thin.
I see what you did there.
And my dog Slade used to sleep in that bed with me all the time as well. We've got a lot of fun memories. We've got a lot of fun memories.
Yeah, I mean,
bed,
it does
so it'll be sad. It'll be sad.
Explain why it smells so bad.
Yeah. Now, I am a little bit happy about some news actually that I got recently. And I don't think you'll ever guess what it was, so I'll just tell you. You see, I'm a little bit chuffed because through a distant cousin that I've only connected with in recent years, I found an interesting piece of history about one of my not so distant relatives who's a great uncle.
Now,
so this is my grandmother's brother.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, as you know, Guy, I'm a big fan of history. You did say that I would ejaculate on Hitler if I saw him. And now this is obviously related to my interest in history, not my sexual attraction to Hitler. Those two things are completely separate.
Yeah, no, it's
now,
more an infatuation than anything else, but yeah.
With the whole war, the whole thing. That's the main. That's like basically one of the main characters. Of course, I got to learn about the guy. The main character in the greatest conflict in human history. For crying out loud! If you're not interested in it, what is wrong with you? So anyway, this hypothetical situation where I bumped into Hitler in Vienna.
Yeah.
Anyway, in terms of my heritage, right? I'm a bottom-dwelling street rat, but generally people don't, notice that on how articulate, because of how articulate I am and so on. But I'm a bottom dwelling street rat, which actually kind of reminds me that Disney's Aladdin tangent. We tangent here is completely unrealistic.
What was riff raff, street rat? I don't buy that. Anyway, go on.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Well, we all know the story, right? The charming and harmless South Dunedin street rat that wins over the snobby Ponsonby princess and they live happily ever after, right?
Well, after he finds a genie in a lamp that grants him 3 wishes, including making him look like a prince for a while.
Yeah, all of that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the genie and the lamp is the Guy and Harley podcast.
I thought that. Okay.
See, you see what's going to happen is the genie and the lamp. This show is going to give me all my wishes when it goes viral.
The genie and the lamp was the zombie film. When you show that to people on DVD.
Oh yeah. I've got literal DVDs in my closet. But yeah. So anyway, I'm a realist, and I understand that in reality, Jasmine and Aladdin would barely even be able to communicate, right? He'd be speaking the common street tongue, and she'd be speaking the elite, rarefied dialect of the Agrabah elite, right? Are you a fan of Aladdin, Guy?
It's my favorite Disney film.
Oh well, as a true fan, then you'll know as well as I do that Aladdin is set approximately around the late 8th to early 9th century in Agrabah. which, as we all know, is a country in the Middle East. Now,
Yep.
there's a common misconception about the listeners of this show, the CD160. The misconception is that these are uneducated, sort of lowest common denominator perverts and creeps and creepettes who laugh at wank jokes and fart jokes. You know, no matter how many times you reuse the same gag.
Watch what you say about my mum, okay? Continue.
Shout out, Mrs. P. But you know, that's not true. You see, these listeners, this group of mellifluous, lascivious recidivists know a lot more than they let on. And of course, they know that in the late 8th to early 9th century, the Agrabah was actually smack bang in the middle of the reign of the Abbasid Caliphate. Now, the Abbasid Caliphate is largely considered to be the golden age of Islam, back when science and philosophy and art were like more important than blind allegiance and ignorant, impotent, inexistence God, in allegiance to that. So anyway, as a 9-year-old street rat watching Aladdin back in 92, I realized the importance of mastering the Queen's English if I wanted to like bone, hot foreign princesses.
Yeah.
And so far that lessons learned served me very well. But nevertheless, a bottom-dwelling street rat I remain, which means I have little choice and little chance of affecting history because I'm a nameless, faceless, minion in the inexorable march towards humanity's, transition to godhood. So what's this thing that's interesting in my history?
Yeah.
As it happens, my great uncle is Walter Scott Ellis from Glasgow, and I just found out that he was a notorious gangland criminal and murderer. Yeah, so I was like, okay, that's kind of exciting and interesting. For the first time, I didn't know anything sordid about any of my history at all. But this guy, I started Googling him, and he's a bit of a bad dude.
Where did he end up? What was the result? So, did he go to jail? Did he... what happened to him?
I haven't got to the end yet. I'll have to let you know.
Okay.
But I know that he killed people and that he went to jail and he started writing letters to the police, and he was doing so anonymously from inside his jail cell, and he was threatening people, police officers and so on, from within his cell.
He sounds like a fucking...
And he's in the newspaper.
Sounds like kind of a dumbass.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he got caught and everything. So, yeah. But that's interesting. I've got a criminal history, people. Well, a criminal family history, a genetic predisposition for criminality.
Evil.
For evil. It's in my blood. You can see it with the dictatorship stuff. I also said that I updated about how I was going to die one day, that I wanted to die ground zero under a thermonuclear explosion at the bottom of Queen Street. Yeah. But I've actually updated that now. I want to die fighting an alien invasion.
What? You mean you updated your Bumble profile? Is that...
yeah,
what you put there now?
I updated my Bumble profile. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. See how that works.
Yeah. So, Harley, we're on level 2, mate.
Yeah.
You should be fucking with hats off now.
Well, if somebody could inform the fear of sex, then I would.
Whoa, have you not been killing it?
I'd happily oblige.
Have you not been killing it on the online dating scene? Has there not been a huge surge in matches and conversations? And we can all go to bars and restaurants now. There's nothing to stop you.
Well, except for my complete lack of income, which doesn't change. That never changes.
That's true.
It's not gonna, I'm not gonna be in. I'll be like, hey, do you want to go for a walk to a park? I can shout you some of my water from my pump bottle.
That is not even the nice water. It's just from your tap.
It's not the nice water. It's just from the tap. I just filled it up in my bathroom before I left the house. In my ensuite before I left the house. It's ensuite water.
Not sweet water, ensuite water. Sorry, love. Yeah. Look. Look. I see how that could be a problem, but girls do like going for walks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, walks are good, but the other thing too is there's just no point at the moment. What's the point? If I think I'm moving, right? If I'm doing all this
Well,
moving,
you know, I could
what?
give you 1 point.
Yeah.
So you stop fucking complaining about how lonely you are on the podcast.
Oh well, we have nothing to talk about. You know, I mean, this is
Yeah, that's all right.
this is the kernel of most of our
Right,
content.
yeah, that's a good point.
You know, this is the
Well,
main
I
thing we've
guess you
got.
better
So
be.
at the
I
moment,
guess you better just stay lonely and miserable. Then there's nothing for it. We need the
yeah,
content.
for the
Content's
show.
important.
Yeah,
Content is
yeah.
king.
Mm.
So yeah. Well, okay. So no updates there then. No great
No.
new matches.
No, well, no, I mean, no. I had a few matches. I've actually had like 3 matches since we came into level 2, but I haven't like bothered meeting them. And you know, we have like one message, and it's like, oh Christ, I can't be fucked. I can't be fucked. I can't be fucked. Am I gonna go meet this person? Like, if I think I'm leaving in a month, what am I gonna do? If I'm leaving in a month, you know, like if I'm leaving in a month, then I'm obviously just trying to like have sex, right? Like if I'm like, hey, let's match. I'm like, hey, let's meet. And I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm fucking leaving. They're gonna be like, okay, cool. Well, you know, what the hell are you wasting my fucking time for,
they
bro?
might be like, cool. Well,
Let's
I'm
fuck.
not looking for anything serious, so
Yeah, but they all say clearly on their
they're
Bumble
looking for something
profiles that
serious.
they're not DTF. That they're all looking for something serious and they're not DTF. So I don't know who's doing all the fucking in the world, eh? Because it's certainly not any of these people on Bumble or Tinder.
It's no one on those internet dating things. None of them are having sex. Clearly, they've made that very clear. And we can all we can do is believe what they say, and take them at face value and respect their wishes, and not even suggest it, and maybe just have one conversation with them and let it peter out to nothing.
Well, that's mostly what I've been doing, to be honest. Well, because the other thing too is I'm like, okay, look, maybe I should like ask somebody out. But then I instantly think, well, what am I on about? Like, just say the whole month thing's not an issue. I'm still going out and spending money, which is not really what I want to do at the moment because I don't know what I'm doing yet. So I don't want to be frivolously spending, you know, $50, $100 easily on going out with somebody, you know, and I don't want to be a stingy cheap ass either, you know?
Well, I feel like there's a happy medium there.
Happy middle ground, which is the coffee meeting.
Yeah, which is
you have a coffee meeting at lunchtime.
Coffee catch up. And also, look, the reality is, you know, if you find the right girl, you're gonna spend that money. So you may as well start. You know, you got to invite the vampire into your home, or he can't step through the door.
Exactly. So isn't it smarter? Isn't it smarter to not invite the vampire then? Using that very analogy.
Invite him in.
You let the vampire
invite
in.
Invite him in.
I'm not letting the vampire in.
Let him bite you and suck you dry.
Well, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't sound so bad.
And look, if they don't take too much, you'll become immortal. So you know. Also, I don't know if we talked. I don't think we talked about this, but I watched the sequel to The Shining a while ago while we're on lockdown.
Which I thought you had seen that years ago.
So obviously, I love The Shining. It's actually one of my top 10 films, as evidenced by my recent Facebook post. But I love The Shining. It's one of those films I can watch over and over again. Stanley Kubrick is one of my favorite directors. Masterpiece, blah, 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 blah. And so now, you know, fucking 40 years later, they're like, cool, let's make a sequel to that, which is based on Stephen King's sequel to The Shining called Doctor Sleep. And
that's it.
And basically, it takes kind of a weird turn because it's basically about a fucking group of traveling hippie vampires who suck the souls out of people with a particular tasty essence that keeps them alive and immortal. And the problem they're having is that most people's, you know, like you and I's regular souls aren't that, they don't provide enough life force to keep them all going, right?
So they need special souls.
Need special souls, which are people with the Shining, with the ability, with telepathic abilities.
So they would eat the kid if they could.
Yeah, so essentially, and now we see in Danny Torrance, who is the little boy in The Shining, is now a man. He's now an alcoholic, trying to still get over the whole his dad tried to murder him thing in a haunted hotel full of crazy ghosts and you know, and look, I'd be traumatized.
I can relate.
Yeah,
I can relate.
I would be traumatized too. I can't, you know, I can't sort of deny that I would be a little bit upset by the whole thing of my dad trying to murder me and then him freezing to death, and you know, someone, it was all a bit much. So I get it, but this movie, vampires in and like kind of a haunted hotel, there's quite a leap there. It's like they're two different like genres of horror.
It was like he was trying to do Quentin Tarantino in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
he was trying to pull one of those on us.
It's just kind of weird. Like
but it was after Quentin.
It's not a bad film. I think one of the worst things in it is that they go back to the Shining Hotel, the Overlook Hotel, and you know it's all the same and blah blah blah. Except of course that there's no Jack Nicholson and there's no Shelley Duvall as his wife. And they're played by different actors. And they're not even played by, like, actors that are kind of... I guess they kind of look like them, but they're not trying to copy them or anything. And it's just, like, it's weird. It doesn't make sense because those characters are so well established from The Shining. And then you're like, here they are again. It's the same characters, but they're not the same character. Like, you know, it's a very cheap way to do it because, obviously, they couldn't get those real actors back to do it. And all of it just seems a little bit off. Like, it's kind of an interesting concept, and the lead vampire is super babin. You know, that immortality thing is really suiting her, and her kind of like her little hippie hat that she's got going. So it's an interesting concept, but for me, it's still a bit of a dud.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I did just finish season 2 of Narcos Mexico, and I can recommend that whole season on both seasons on Netflix of Narcos Mexico, and also the original Narcos, and also the other Narcos. There's 3 seasons, or like 4 seasons, something like that. They're all good.
A lot of Narcos going on, and
there's a lot of Narcos. It's all good stuff.
And we should also have a quick who's dead this week. So the person who's dead this week is Jerry Stiller. You heard about this?
Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Yes. Of course, I am aware of Jerry Stiller, the father character.
Wait for this to load.
George Costanza.
Yes.
In Seinfeld.
So that's right. So look, Seinfeld is
no Google.
In my opinion, the greatest sitcom of all time, and it's not even close. It's so good. It's timeless. I encourage you to just watch them all again. My girlfriend recently did it. I sort of laughed along with her. It was pretty epic. And obviously one of the great side characters is George's parents, or George's dad. And that is Jerry Stiller. Now, Jerry Stiller is also the father of Ben Stiller. And, you know, once upon a time, he was a bigger star than Ben Stiller was. And so it's kind of interesting. It's one of those few cases where the son has sort of ultimately eclipsed the father. And now we know Jerry Stiller as this, as this kind of hilarious dad character. But he had a whole career before that as well. So he was in like television and film for, 40 years before that. But he was an amazing character and part of some of the best Seinfeld episodes. And he's missed. Serenity Now. What's the other one that he
did he coin Serenity Now?
I actually don't know if he did or not.
I thought it was George that was saying Serenity Now.
He invented their Christmas that they celebrate instead of Christmas, whatever it is. I can't remember what it is now. Festivus. So he came up with Festivus, and that was his contribution. But yeah, like an awesome character, and hilarious, and R.I.P. Jerry Stiller. We haven't had a Who's Dead in a while because basically what happens is people keep dying in between podcast episodes, and by the time we get to the podcast, I forget to give them a shout out, which unfortunately is the sad part about dying. is that
lest we forget.
is that even when people have a great interest on you and, you know, greatly respect you, they've fucking forgotten about you in 5 days. Not even a full week. They've forgotten about you.
Yeah.
What else is going on? So we can all look forward to that.
Well, rest in peace indeed. Now, I do have one last little topic, which is that a wee while back we did an episode called Gold Star Lesbians. And this was, of course, related to Sperm Quest.
Yep.
Sperm Quest was the goal of donating sperm in order to pass on my seed without needing to look after the children.
Responsibilities.
And to be able to, as a sperm donor, be able to spread my seed far and wide, impregnating, I believe, up to 5 women. Or even perhaps 10. I think it was 5 women. I could impregnate 5 to 10 women with my seed if I were to donate to the place, the sperm place. And I looked into this. I began doing it and so on. And then I ended up not finishing it because they got to a level where they were like, okay, cool. Well, your boys are swimming. All is good. All is well. But you've got to bring your girlfriend in here and get her to sign off on this. And I was like, what the fuck? And then so I kind of didn't actually pursue it beyond that. Not because my girlfriend was like actually against it specifically, but she wasn't exactly like supportive of me impregnating 5 other women.
I really feel
you know what I mean?
Like she had some consternation about the whole thing.
But we didn't. She probably did, but we didn't have any big fights about it. But I didn't want to bring her in. You know, I was just like, what are you on about? It's my body. It's my choice. I'm pro-choice. And so... And so, like this sperm donor thing. The point was anyway that I mentioned it in my episode of first dates. When I went on first dates, I mentioned in that episode that I was interested in donating sperm.
Yep.
And afterwards, a woman added me on Facebook, and she said, "Look, I'm a lesbian. My partner and I are both looking to get pregnant." We would love it if you were the donor. We can all have a contract and everything will be, all good. We'll sign contracts and, you can have a lawyer look at it and all that stuff. And we will pay you money. We'll pay you $5,000 to impregnate both of us. Or I think, impregnate both of us over some period of time, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I dithered and dallied and didn't actually really bother kind of getting around to properly pursuing it. I did contact the sperm donor place again, but they didn't email me back because I wasted their fucking time last time. I just came in and had a wank for no reason, For
no good reason.
As far as they were concerned, it's just a guest wanker wasting their time. Yeah. They to be fair, they did spend about $1,000 or $1,200 on tests on me to make sure that I was healthy and all that stuff, and then by the time I got back to them, it was too late. The results would have expired. They'd need to do it all again. But it was kind of their fault for bringing my girlfriend into this thing. My ex-girlfriend.
It's kind of their fault for taking into consideration the partner that you had of many years and how they might feel about this whole thing. But
it's not their business. Let me handle it, all right? What are you talking about? Drag my girlfriend in here,
What are you talking about? My girlfriend disapproves.
Multiple visits. I had to go in for multiple visits and stuff like that.
Oh, boo-hoo.
It was a big thing. It was a big to-do.
Boo-hoo. Oh, right. So when you say it was a big to-do, you mean you had to fill out a few forms and jerk off a couple of times?
I went in several times. I jerked off several times.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'm sure that was not... that's a real difference from your every day-to-day life.
I also had to drive out there to do it, I'll have you know. Now, anyway, look, I did it and I dallied and I didn't strike with these lesbians. Now, the reason they're called Gold Star lesbians, you'll have to go back and listen to the episode, but they told me that a Gold Star lesbian is a lesbian that's never had sex with a man. That is what they call that's a Gold Star lesbian. Now, they said that, not me. Now, so the Gold Star lesbian couple, as it happens, the update is that they both got pregnant at the same time and went viral. They've gone viral, and someone's approached them about making a movie about it. And so I missed out on $5,000, maybe a threesome with 2 Gold Star lesbians, 2 kids I don't have to look after, and viral fame.
Yeah.
What an absolute fuck up. Curse my tardiness. I could have spread my genes. I could have gone pro doing what I love doing. You know, that was my chance. $5,000 to do what I love doing and do best, you know? And so
Masturbate into a cup.
Yeah.
Do what you do best. Do what you love.
Yeah, that's a real fuck up. But you can go look them up. They've been recently. There's been on BuzzFeed, and people in the UK are contacting them because basically they both got pregnant from the same donor at like virtually like a week apart type thing.
Well, I guarantee you wouldn't have been sleeping with them, but
I guarantee nothing.
Guarantee those.
I've never met them.
Those stars are intact.
I've never met them in my life, and I have no reason to believe that they would in any way indulge in any type of behavior like that. But you never know. You never know.
You never know that if they were to break their seal, so to speak, and deign to sleep with someone that they arguably did not find attractive at all. Clearly,
well,
it would be.
I'm like the opposite of.
It would be a short, hairy, bald guy. To me, that doesn't add up.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Just saying, you never know.
I feel like they would. Those stars are still intact, but we'll find out when the movie comes out.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we better wrap it up.
Yeah.
We better wrap this show up. So thank you very much to the listeners for tuning in. Facebook.com/Guy and Harley. And our new web series, Immi The Vegan, is coming out soon. We don't know yet. We've got a few tongs in the fire, but we're waiting to hear exactly how it's going to come out and what we're going to do. But worst case scenario, it's coming out on our social media soon. So it'd be really awesome if the listeners could go along and find the Immi The Vegan Facebook page and the Immi The Vegan YouTube channel, in particular the YouTube channel. If you could go to YouTube and search for Immi, IMMI, The Vegan on YouTube and watch some of those videos there. We're trying to get our watch time up, our subscribers up, so that we can monetize that channel, which would make a big difference, because if it gets 1 million views and it's monetized, we get a lot of money. If it's not monetized, we miss out on a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we only miss out. We'd watch it. If the first episode got 1 million views, that would be our 4,000 hours of watch time sorted, and we wouldn't need to. We could monetize like quite quickly. But we'd rather be monetized, before all this happens.
Absolutely. Check out that.
That's exciting. After 3 years on this show talking about how it's finally going to come out, it is finally actually going to come out.
Well, also you and I have to shoot our behind-the-scenes interviews for the making of Older, preferably before I go on for hip surgery. But we'll just see if we have time to do that.
Well, I'm fucking flat out over here, mate. I'm fucking, it's balls to the walls over at my place. It's all go over here. I get shit to do.
I know you've got nothing going on, but I'm quite busy preparing for my months of, or at least month of
rehabilitation.
Exactly. Being an invalid. So, so we'll just have to try and squeeze that in at the last minute, I think. But we'll see how we go.
Yeah, well, we'll do it. We'll make time. We'll make it happen for sure.
Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.